There she is.
Starting off strong.
Woo! I can see the plushies in the back also. I love that for you.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Looking so cute.
The cats like sniffed them earlier. They were like,
Yes.
this is interesting. We don't know what
Mm.
this is.
They probably also smell like my cats, so it's kind of like they're meeting each other for the first time.
Hmm. This is a good
Mm.
warm up, I think.
Yes, for when we're living together. No, just kidding. And suddenly we're all roommates.
And suddenly, I really do think like if I had it my way and everyone was cool with it, I feel like we would just buy like a large amount of land.
We have discussed this actually.
Chris and I can live there. You and Tyler can live there. Carol and her dogs and variety of animals can live there.
We have discussed a compound with friends.
I That is the way. This is the way. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm Blair.
And I'm Kirsten, and we are Mediocre
Content.
And we are right on time-ish for one of the loveliest love days ever with this podcast.
You mean the Hallmark holiday that is Valentine's Day?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I know technically we're like a week off, but this is right on time to get everyone set up for the good stuff or
That's
avoid it
right.
completely.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I have not started February with tons of love, though, I'm going to be honest. It has been rainy and cold and
Mhm.
snowing and icing. Not in love.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like February is the month of birthdays for my family. Like my
Yeah.
dad's birthday, my sister-in-law Nicole's birthday, my husband's birthday, and
Mhm.
then there's Valentine's Day thrown in, and it's so
Yes.
close to Christmas, and I'm just like, y'all, why? This is too much. It's too much.
My grandma's birthday is this month as well, so just add that
See?
to your list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I will. I
Yeah.
will. So, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a month in the year. I don't know what to say.
February is your version of my October, which is everybody's birthday as well.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like something about the
Plus
fall.
Halloween,
And
you
plus
know.
Halloween, then you
Mhm.
have Thanksgiving right after, and there's a birthday in November, like right after
Mhm.
Thanksgiving. Like,
Yeah.
so I mean, yeah,
Also Black History Month, I believe, in February.
indeed, it is.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
lots of stuff going on.
lots of stuff going on. And it's a short month too. That's the other thing. You have to like do
Yeah,
all of it in a short amount of time.
which I feel I don't know if I'm that upset about it.
Yeah. No.
Just get it over with, really. I mean, I love all the people that were born in February, don't get me wrong, my grandma included,
Mhm. Mhm.
but this month is very packed.
Special shout out if you were born on a leap year and you only get a birthday every 4 years.
Yeah. There are only 5.
Mm.
Can you imagine? I wonder
No.
how old would they be? I wonder if like obviously
I
they
just
count, but if
I
they
just
didn't.
remember in Parks and Rec,
Mm.
Leslie throws Jerry, Gary, Larry a um 16th birthday party when he turns, I think 64
That's
or something like
hilarious.
that
Because of the
because
leap years.
of the leap year. Yeah.
That's great. I wish that that was me now.
Yeah.
I love a good December baby, but still.
Yeah.
Mm. But you have a lot of stuff
I do.
going
I have a
on
lot of stuff to talk about with us, with everyone today.
just with us.
Just with us,
They
just
can't
between the
listen.
two of us. You guys can't hear anything about this. Um, so yeah, let's get going because I know you guys want to hear about this. Let's see. So, the disclaimer, obviously, before we get started, we're not experts on anything, but if you've come to the podcast for any kind of advice, even love advice, we are
Mm.
not qualified for this.
Mm-mm.
So, just keep that in mind. We are both married, but that doesn't mean we're experts on love. Just putting that out there for everyone. Like,
No.
um, but we are the place to learn about things that you may not know about or things that you might know about but may not know everything about. Um, Additionally, this is a fun little disclaimer for this episode specifically.
Oh.
This episode might get a little inappropriate with language. Nothing crazy, but just like PG-13. So keep that in mind.
Oh,
Also,
Blair.
Kirsten's grandma. Now would be a good time to tune out. Thank you so much.
But Papa, you stay.
No, you
Papa can hang out.
Also, when using dating apps, please be careful. That's what this
Hmm.
episode is about today, if you didn't realize that based on the title. Make sure you let a friend know where you're going if you're meeting up with someone that you have met on the internet
Yes.
or anyone that you don't really know that well. Make
Hmm.
sure you let a friend know and let them use your friend's phone to track you or
Yes.
whatever. Make sure at least two or three people know where you are and what you're doing and who you're going with. I know I sound like a mom right now, but like
Hey, that's my role.
you never know who you're meeting on the internet.
It's
We've
so
all seen the
true.
show Catfish, like you
Oh,
never
yeah.
know. And you can't always get the full vibe, even if you've been chatting with the person. You don't
Yes.
know, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, with that being said, we're going to talk about some dating some dating apps and like a history of dating apps. We're not doing good news this week because I have so many things to say.
I mean,
So,
let it, it's the good news is you could find love or irreversible heartbreak. It's great.
it's so fun.
Really quick,
Mhm.
as I choke, do you remember the show Millionaire Matchmaker?
I do. I do.
I wonder where she is today. I don't watch that, and I watched it maybe once or twice, and I was always like, is this real? Is it fake? I don't know. But it was really funny. And for
Yeah.
some reason, in my mind, I also thought, and maybe this was on the show, so tell me if I'm crazy, but for some reason, my mind also thought that she was like a love medium or like was like subscribing to like being able to be a love medium, but I don't know if my if
I
my brain just
don't
made that up.
That's a great question. I don't think I remember that vibe, but
No.
that's lovely that you have that.
My brain thought she was like a love guru or something. Like she's just a
Yeah.
mystical. But I think, I mean, they paid her,
Yeah.
obviously. But
Yeah.
anyway, okay, that's just an
That's
aside.
that's a whole nother podcast though,
It
is like
is.
dating shows. Like Love is Blind is so
Oh,
ridiculous.
I can't. We started to try and watch that, and it just something about reality shows like that just pisses me off.
Chris and I love to watch that.
Ugh.
We love to watch Love is Blind, not so much anymore because the
Yeah.
original few seasons were really good because nobody was trying to get famous, you
Oh,
know?
for sure. Yeah, but now.
But now it's like not as serious. I feel like it's not as genuine.
Yeah.
So anyway, Chris and I love watching that. We also love watching oh, what is it? Oh no, what is
Oh
it
no.
called?
Brain farts.
Um
Hmm.
90 Day Fiance. 90 Day Fiance.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's an
which is not
oldie.
really a dating
Yeah.
show, but
Yeah.
like still because it makes us feel better about our relationship.
You know what? If these people are okay or not,
We're gonna be fine.
we're gonna be fine. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, hey, you like what
Um
you like.
that's right. That's right. Okay, so just to give you some background, um, I let's see. We both grew up in a time where dating apps were not always a thing.
True.
Um, let's see. So in college is when dating apps started to be more prominent, I feel like, in my life.
Yeah, I think because phones were also becoming prominent, but
Mhm.
there were still dating sites, but you just weren't
Yeah,
accessing it on your phone like you can
right.
now. Yeah.
Right. So like dating sites were more for like old people, I feel.
Christian mingle,
Right. Yeah.
farmers only.
Right. And like I think people
eHarmony.
definitely like connected through Facebook and
Oh
like
yeah.
social media, MySpace and stuff like that when it first
Yeah.
came out. AIM, instant
Mm,
messaging, you know.
dang. Throw me back.
I know. Um, but dating apps was the first time I really like knew about them and used them was in my last year of college.
Yeah, okay.
So,
Nice.
um, and so I was on Tinder for a while and I was living in a big city, so I
Mm-hmm.
felt comfortable, like using,
Yeah.
and there was a lot of other, single college kids around in
Yeah.
Pittsburgh. So it's like basically a college town. There's so many. So it was fun. It was
Yeah.
cool to like meet new people, stuff like that. Um, and then like, let's see. And then 2 years, no, like a year and a half
No.
after I got on Tinder, I
Yeah.
reconnected with Chris
Right.
after, and so then I like had no need for that.
Yeah.
And so I was on dating apps for a very short amount of time in my life.
Yeah. I mean, you know
So
me.
I am not the
So
most experienced person, just
No.
putting that out there. Kirsten, however,
Zero
has literally been
experience.
with Tyler since the dawn of time.
Okay, okay. Now I'm a bronchiosaurus. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
It's true though. When we started dating in like the end of junior year ish of high school, so like I went to college with a boyfriend who was like 20 minutes away, also going to college, and then afterwards, we got married. So
It was cute.
or gross.
It was very shocking for me, and I'm sure I not to out you too much, but
That's
like
fine.
so I'm in college. We're like sophomores at the time, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "Oh, Kirsten, like, you know, how like what's your love life like? Like how
Because
are
that's what
you?"
you ask when you first meet
Yeah.
someone. What's
Like
your
we're
love life
friends,
like?
we're in biology. I'm like, "So who you dating?" And
It's so true, actually.
she's like, "Well, I've been dating Tyler since high school, and we're
Mhm.
gonna go get married after college." And he moved down here so that he could be near me while I was in college. And I'm
It's
like,
true.
okay.
Intensity
Because like
increases.
at the time I couldn't even imagine being married. Nonetheless, like,
That's fair.
having a long-term relationship because I was just like trying to pass college and like,
Dude,
have a good time. But like
look,
Kirsten was ever since I've known you, you've been like fully committed and married.
I would just like to say two things, if I may.
Yes, please.
One, it is so ingrained in the family that when the um, third third child of my mother's, so the second brother, was born, Caden,
Mm-hmm.
when he was born, we were so tied to the hip that he didn't know anything different. And we were always Kiki Tyler. It was
Mm-hmm.
never one without the other. And even when we
Sure.
were without the other, it was still Kiki Tyler. Like, where's
Mm-hmm.
Kiki Tyler? Even if I was standing right in front of him. Disappointment. Also, though, I would also like to say
So wait, you're saying that Kaden didn't know you as two separate people?
correct. we
Oh
were
my
we were
God.
one. We were Kiki Tyler.
Oh my God.
Shout out to Caden. I highly doubt he's listening to
Shout
this,
out
but
to Kaden.
if my mom's listening to this, she knows very well. It was very Kiki Tyler during that time. And which is funny too. I would just like to say as well, because when it was just Tyler, he was also Kiki Tyler, which is very cute.
I
I won't
love that
embarrass
for
him too much more.
you.
But I would also like to say, as romantic as Blair just made that sound, it was very unromantic at the time because we were hustling college, okay?
Yeah.
We were trying
Yeah.
very hard to keep ourselves together, let alone us as a couple and mentally and family and distance. And I would just like to say, wherever you're at, with or without a relationship, it's totally fine to have bumps in the road and go through life and it not be romantic all the time.
True.
Just my 2 cents in there.
True. Every and all of this to say, like everybody has their own
Yeah.
way of like finding love and like
Yeah.
being in relationships. So just take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
I found it when I was on dating apps personally not to take it too seriously
Yeah.
because like sometimes people are like, "Well, this is the only way I'll find someone." And I'm just like, it's not. It's
It's not.
okay.
Yeah.
It's not. It's
Yeah.
just it's not that serious. Breathe. It's gonna be okay. All
Yeah.
right. So now we're going to go back into the 1690s.
Woo.
Woo! Um, and talk about the history of like people connecting through not just like face-to-face communication. Okay.
Cute.
All right. So The modern newspaper was invented in 1690, and the first personal ads followed soon after.
Hmm.
So, dating apps are really the latest manifestation of human beings doing what they've always done, is just creating new tools to communicate with each other and then turn around and find those or use those tools to find love and sex and companionship.
It's true.
Period. All
Period.
right. So in 1695, the first personal ad was, and this is according to history professor H.G. Cox, which is like,
How unfortunate.
and it's spelled Cocks, just so everyone is aware.
Very clear.
This is clearly the best name for this
Mhm.
particular episode.
Absolutely.
Um, So, according to him, personal ads began as a way to help British bachelors find eligible wives. One of the earliest personals ever placed was by a 30-year-old man with a very good estate, quote unquote, announcing he was in search of, quote, some good young gentlewoman that has a fortune of 3,000 euros or thereabouts.
It's very
And
specific.
3,000 euros is the equivalent to 300,000 euros
Whoa.
today. So basically, he was like shamelessly seeking a sugar mama.
Wow. I mean, good for
Mhm.
him, really.
I seriously,
No
in
shame
those
there.
times, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
That's so much money.
I know. In the 1700s, personal ads were one of the only ways for gay and lesbian communities to meet discreetly and
Ah,
safely at this time.
fair.
Um, a not so fun fact, homosexuality was outlawed and punishable by death in the UK um, by wife murderer
Oh,
Henry VIII,
yeah.
and continued to be illegal until 1967.
That's a long time.
Yeah. During this time, gathering sites for gay men, known as Molly houses, were subject to regular raids by law enforcement.
Quick question.
Yes.
Sorry.
Mhm.
Was it still also punishable by death until 1967?
I don't think so.
Okay, so just illegal,
It's still illegal.
but
Yeah.
not okay. Because I was like,
Right.
that's extreme for
Right.
1967 to be like, yes, we're also going to behead you now. Like, dang.
Right. I know. Oh
Whew.
my God. I think punishable probably by like prison
Oh,
time.
right. And maybe like a fine and
Yeah.
something. Yeah, okay. That's much,
Um,
I mean, not great, but
I can't imagine in 1960s people were like outright dying. I mean,
there are
you never
weirder
know,
things.
but like I really don't think so.
I
I
would hope
really
not.
don't think so. M-
Yeah.
yeah. So, and also just a side note, in the USA,
Hmm.
anyone accused of being a sodomite or doing buggery, quote unquote, was also legally sentenced to death as of 1776.
Can we still call it that?
I
Buggery.
buggery,
What the heck?
canoodling.
Wow.
So coded words, female names, and other signals and personal ads were channels to privately expressing vulnerability and find companionship that society was not okay with at the time.
It's like sending an anonymous IM.
That's right. But
Hmm.
then there's like coding and like,
Yeah. Yeah.
only people who are supposed to know what it's about.
That's all they need to know.
In 1727, um, Englishwoman Helen Morrison became the first woman to place an ad in a Lonely Hearts column.
Oh,
She convinced the editor of the Manchester Weekly Journal to place a small ad stating she was seeking someone nice to spend her life with. So radical,
oh, that's
clearly.
so
I
cute.
know. A man responded to Helen, but it was not the man she was hoping for. It was the mayor who had her committed to an insane asylum for 4 weeks.
Because she wanted to find love?
Exactly.
My dude, my guy, my bro. You could have
I,
risked that, okay? What the
he was like,
heck?
no, 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 we will not be having this tomfoolery in my establishment.
Women
Okay.
wanting to find a nice companion, gross,
Not
insane.
allowed. Not allowed.
It reminds me of that guy that does the videos, is like, not a vibe.
Not a vibe.
What the heck? You know what? That was honestly the main punishment for women in those times. Just send her to the asylum. Like,
I
she'll be
know.
fine.
seriously, like I bet the asylum was like a great place. I mean, that's actually not true. Never
I
mind.
was gonna
Never
say
mind.
that's more
But
Delulu
like
than her asking for love.
with the amount of people who were like genuinely good
Yeah.
people, I feel
Yeah.
like it's like the concept of what I'm trying to get at is the concept of like people are like, I'll see you in hell. And you'll be like, yeah, it'll be a fun time because we're all going, that kind of thing. But you're right. Asylums were not a happy place. I am so sorry for saying that.
It's totally fine.
As I have canceled myself already in the first 15 minutes
You
of
know
this
what?
podcast,
We would have made it a vibe.
we would have made it a
We would have
vibe.
made
You're
it
right. Okay. So in the
a
1800s, aristocrats,
Oh, I love that movie.
it's such a good movie.
It's such a good movie.
Aristocrats have found that people are placing personal ads and the lowly people, and then they have now caught on to this behavior and have decided to use personal ads to broadcast their interest in romantic engagements that seem scandalous by today's
Ooh.
standards.
You know,
So
though, makes sense.
think of like what is the show called? Um
Hold on.
I'll think of it.
Hmm. You know what else they did while you're
Yes, go
thinking?
ahead. Yeah.
When they would go to and I just learned this, but when they would go to parties, they would have like little cards that they would write down names of people for each dance that was going to happen at these like big community parties.
Mm.
And what women would do, which is so clever because we're smarts, what we would do is if a young whippersnapper came about and was like, I would love to dance with you, but he wasn't really somebody that you wanted to associate with, she would like look at her card and be like, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm already penciled in for that, like already booked, I already have, so even if it wasn't,
Yeah.
she'd just be
It's
like,
like it's
so
like a
sorry.
bouncer at a club.
Yes,
Like you are your own bouncer.
that's right. So sorry. And that's where I'll pencil you in comes from, because they would pencil in the bachelors' names for the dances.
Thank you so much for sharing that fact.
You're
I
so
love
welcome.
that so much.
Yeah.
Ah, that's
Women
amazing.
invented that and we're smart.
We're way better. Oh my God. Okay. So
Did you think
anyway,
of it? Did you know what you
no,
wanted?
I didn't.
Okay.
Bridgerton.
Oh,
Bridgerton. Think of
okay.
Bridgerton. There it is. I found
Yes.
it.
You're
Okay.
welcome.
Yes. So Bridgerton, think about that, where like
Hmm.
the society, it's like a whole gossip column basically for
Yeah,
them.
that makes sense.
And in 1841, in the Journal of Munich, tells of a 70-year-old baron seeking a woman between the ages of 16 and
Ew.
20, having good teeth and little feet.
I mean, good teeth's a good shout during that time. I can't even
I
fault him for that.
I agree. I
But
agree.
70? My guy.
Yeah, well, that's how it was back then.
That's probably fair. It was like he got married at like 14.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's proud.
Not a proud
Not
moment
proud.
for humans,
No.
honestly. Okay, so in the mid 1800s, the need to advertise for a husband or wife was still considered a failure and associated with deviant behavior. But for many judgmental, straight, white, middle to upper class people, this was
Yeah.
considered terrible. But as magazines and periodicals such as The Wedding Bell in the US and the Correspondent Matrimonial Herald and the Marriage Gazette in the UK hit the newsstands with immense popularity, matchmaking and personals took off as well, creating the
Hmm.
first wave of like mainstream normalization for the personal ad.
The only reason that people, like literally, this is just high society, right? The only reason that it didn't take off there is because a lot of them, from what I understand, were either arranged or preset, or like you would just marry
Right.
into other royalty or other high class. So, of
Yeah.
course, you weren't like looking where the common folk were, because the common
Right.
folk didn't have, I guess, it wasn't all good, but they didn't have the luxury of having those decisions kind of made for them, or like
Well,
already a
and
community.
I think too, it's partially because it's kind of the people who are left over.
Right.
It's like
Yeah.
getting everyone else got picked for dodgeball, but then it's like the
Hmm.
people at the end
Yeah.
are who like couldn't find a match are
Right.
like trying to figure out what to do.
Sag.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously somebody has to ruin it for everyone.
Fantastic.
The popularity of personals paved the way for grifters who soon realized they could prey on the vulnerability of people seeking love.
Horrifying.
In the late 1800s, scam artists caused a scandal that many newspapers ran with, and personals disappeared practically overnight as public attitudes became more cautious. Phishing, faked profiles, and ads for escorts continue to this tradition today.
Literally, you could get murdered in an alley, you know?
Yep, 1,000%.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, that's why Craigslist is so kind of like creepy
Oh, yeah. Oh
sometimes.
my
You know what I
gosh.
mean?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I will say that's why technology these days is great because you can't track Meryl, who's meeting, the murderer in the alley back then, but you
From the
can
newspaper.
now. Right.
Right. Yeah,
Hard to do that from a newspaper.
it's true. Okay, so the early 1900s, um, personal ads enjoyed a renaissance of popularity, especially in the Western US, with low populations and the harsh realities of rural life without a partner.
Hmm.
So, this is basically the early version of Farmers Only, just in case you wanted to know.
I love it.
Um, some very pragmatic examples, jinx move, of early 20th century personals. Housekeeper, 18 to 30 years of age, wanted by widower, 40. Have prominent position with the rail company, have 75-acre ranch,
Whew.
also house in town.
Is that normal?
Object matrimony if suited. Have boy, 13 years old. Would not object to housekeeper having child.
What?
Can give best references.
Oh, just having a child.
Yeah.
My brain read that weird.
It sounds like he like wants to impregnate her.
But if she had a
A
child,
child.
he is saying
Yeah.
it's fine. Okay.
Yeah. Another
Got it.
one. Another one. Young woman reared in luxury, having lost everything and earned her living for the past 8 years, is tired of teaching and wishes a home.
Fair.
Would like to meet a well-to-do businessman who would appreciate refinement and affection in a wife. Object matrimony.
Okay, these are the kinds of profiles that we need to start putting on Tinder,
I
okay?
agree.
Um, you need to have 75 acres
Mm.
immediately,
Literally can find no one under the age of 30.
literally.
Under the age of 50, probably.
Probably, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um, this one I particularly enjoy because she's like basically saying, I'm tired of working. I need a sugar daddy. That's
She
what
just
I
wa-
need.
Sometimes you just want to put your feet up, you know? I get it.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
love that for her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, two more.
These are
In the
great.
1920 one, the first one in 1920s.
Mm-hmm.
Lonely World War I soldier seeks pen pal. I know, I
Oh,
know, I know, I know.
oh.
So personal ads went mainstream again in the early 20th century when social pressures to get married by 21 were much lower, thankfully, than their earlier incarnations. So yeah, basically
Yeah.
people, yeah. Many of the postings were simply calls for friends or pen pals.
Oh,
These kinds of ads were especially fashionable among lonely soldiers during World War One.
that hurts my soul for some, like that just
I
hurts
know.
so much. They
I
just
know, but
wanted
then
someone to talk to.
I feel like we read all of these beautiful like pen pal
Yeah.
um letters from that
Mm-hmm.
time, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just so like
Different
wonderful.
times. Like I
I know.
know war was awful and treated people
Mm,
terribly, and people came back very different people. Like I
yeah.
totally understand that.
Yeah.
But the amount of just companionship that was lost and just loneliness, like you just
Mhm.
want someone to talk to.
I know.
That hurts a lot.
Can I just tell you that when I was a kid, I
Mm-hmm.
had a friend
Mm-hmm.
who I met like in kindergarten,
Mm-hmm.
and she moved away, but we like
Oh.
wrote letters to each other
Oh.
for a while. And
Yes.
like we would talk on the phone and stuff, but this is the time when there was only one house phone. Like nobody had a
Yeah.
cell phone or anything.
Yeah.
And so we basically just wrote letters back and forth in our like terrible like third grade handwriting.
Hey,
But
you made it work.
there were like stickers and all kinds of stuff also involved. It was cute.
That is so precious. I love that for
Yeah.
you.
Okay. So the 1960s, Removed from the context of wartime, sorry, old stigmas crept back in. Like the internet today, Lonely Heart ads were suspected of harboring all sorts of scams and perversities
Ew.
because they were often used by homosexuals and sex workers. British police continued to prosecute those who placed personals until the late 1960s, when ads became part of the burgeoning youth counterculture. Meanwhile, a new technology was emerging in 1965. A team of Harvard undergrads created Operation Match, the world's first computer dating service. For $3, users could answer questionnaires and receive a list of potential matches, a process that is still used by many dating sites. And can we talk about how Mark Zuckerberg also went to Harvard
Mhm.
and Facebook started as a dating, like the first dating site? Like
Oh,
it start not the first. Obviously, there was Christian
right.
Mingle and stuff before then, but this was the first one to like start matching people up based on like a profile.
That's cute and
But
weird.
then he turned it into like social media that we
Yeah.
know and hate today. So
I have to say, the one thing that I only use Facebook for nowadays is literally just to catch up with people and see how they're doing and like what they're doing. But genuinely, that's it.
every time I go on Facebook, I get sad. So I don't go on Facebook anymore.
Yeah, I remember the days of eHarmony commercials. So,
I remember those too. Wow.
mm,
Okay. 1990s to 2000, so the second wave of mainstream. The explosion of the internet in the mid to late 1990s, cough, cough, when we were born, uh, created a new context for personals, and by the end of the decade, they had become relatively acceptable. Even before the web itself, bulletin boards and news groups hosted a variety of ways people could use technology to meet others with similar interests. Um, Services such as online America Online, Prodigy, and eventually Craigslist
so weird.
offered chat rooms, forums, and online classifieds of use to singles. By the time Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan AOL'd each other on You Got Mail, which is like such a
So
good movie.
cute.
If you haven't
Yeah.
seen it, it's so good. It had become clear that the internet was going to change every aspect of our lives forever, including love and romance. Match.com was founded in 1995, and by 2007, online dating had become the second highest online industry for paid content. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and make a jump here that number one is like porn.
Oh. Oh. Sag.
Unclear if that is true or not.
I don't think it's a bad thought. It's probably quite
Yeah.
accurate.
Okay, so 2010 to today. By 2010, different dating sites existed for virtually every city, sexual orientation, religion, race, and almost every hobby, making it easier to find exactly what we're looking for and harder to stumble on someone who exists outside our predefined bubbles of identity.
That's pretty true
In
too.
2000, I know.
Yeah.
In 2002, Wired magazine predicted 20 years from now, the idea that someone is looking for love won't look for it on and won't look for it online will be silly, akin to skipping the card catalog to instead wander the stacks because the right books are found only by accident.
Yeah, I think maybe that's my frustration with a lot. So, like, look, I understand you have preferences, and preferences are fine. I would
Mm-hmm.
like to say preferences are okay, but I think sometimes, and this is a broader statement, so take it with a grain of salt, it's
Sure,
opinion.
of course.
But I think sometimes we get so close minded in our preferences and our opinions of how things should be that we do
Right.
not open ourselves to the potential of other opportunities that might actually work out better for us. And that goes beyond love, but still,
Mm.
you never know.
Well, I agree. I think that, and obviously, we're speaking from a place of privilege because we
For
have
sure.
found the people that we want to spend the rest of our lives with.
For
But
sure.
I think that it's like that illusion of control, right? So,
Yeah.
like, you
Yeah.
feel like if I can find exactly who I want,
Mm-hmm.
then that's going to be the perfect one for me. And sometimes that's not always true.
It's true. Yeah.
Um, humans are very complex. We come with a lot of like emotional
Mm-hmm.
baggage and that we don't always realize. And then so the
Yeah.
person that you think might be for you may not be for you.
I would also like to say that when, and I've told him this too, I'm going to date myself further. Tyler and I actually knew each other in elementary school. And I'm going to tell you right now, if I were basing my opinion of him at that time based on what I
Right.
knew about him in
Right.
elementary school, he would not be my first choice.
Well, and that's the thing. Like Chris and I knew each other in high school
Right.
and we like were friends. We were
Mm-hmm.
on the swim team together, like,
Yeah.
and but I at the time
Right.
would have been it was like absolutely not. We are
Right.
friends and that is it. Like I
Right.
can't I there was no,
Mm-hmm.
we both went to college for 4 years,
Mm-hmm.
grew up a little bit, and
Mm-hmm.
then, started talking again and eventually like fell in love.
But
Ugh.
that's what I mean,
But
though. So,
like,
like, we
but
reconnected at
yeah,
a different time. And for us, it was high school, but you
yeah.
reconnected at a different time,
Mhm.
and it just happened to sync up.
And some of that is timing, but that's also not to say that if you're with someone right now that is not super great,
Right.
like don't wait around
Right.
for them to be
Right.
better. Like it just, you know, it's
Yeah.
it's it's timing. It's about timing
It's all
and
complicated.
like, yeah, I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know how to explain it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Also, I read somewhere a while ago that like statistically you have already met the person that you're going to marry by the time you're like 22.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Like, just
And
statistically.
statistically, yeah, that's not true for everyone,
Sure.
obviously. And like it depends on like where you grew up and like how, but like a lot, at least now, I don't know how it is with like the new information from like online
Mm.
dating and stuff like that, but
Hmm.
like typically by the time you graduate college, you have already met the person that you are going to marry.
And that's like, or you've just
You don't know.
encountered
You
them.
just encountered they're in your life
Ah,
somehow.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That, yeah.
I don't know. Take it with what you will. I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know either. Okay, so now we're going to talk about what Forbes believes to be the best dating apps for 2024.
Well, I mean, if Forbes said.
I this is seems like a reliable source, but you guys obviously make your own choices. Do what you do with this information, what you will. Number one best dating app is Bumble.
Hmm,
Available for use for free or through a subscription with added features.
of course.
Bumble is a dating app focused on empowering women through the dating process. With Bumble Date, women must send the first message with a match.
Hmm.
And it also offers a wide variety of opportunities for users to invest in relationships beyond just the app, including the option to search for romantic relationships, business connections, and friendships, as
Hmm.
well as an ambassador program and in person events.
That's cool.
I think so. I like the friendship idea.
Yeah, meet
I
new friends.
remember, yeah, I think that's kind of neat. I've never explored that option
Right.
before, but
Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, I think if I Bumble didn't exist when I
Yeah.
was, or it wasn't like very popular
Hmm.
when I was in college, but I definitely like if I was doing the dating thing now, I would
Hmm.
definitely use Bumble, I think. I
Hmm.
think I'm gonna say this now. I think Bumble and Hinge would be like
The
my
tops for
the
you.
top two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Tinder is number two, obviously an oldie but a goodie. With more than 55 billion matches made, according to the company, Tinder is a free swiping based app with paid features available as well. Paid subscription offers include Tinder Platinum, Tinder Gold, and Tinder Plus, which allow users to access features such as adding notes to super likes, see all the people who, quote, like you, even if you don't, quote, like them back, the ability for unlimited likes, as well as the passport feature, which allows you to add additional locations to meet matches while traveling or in different locations. Users can also explore additional free features such as sending read receipts, becoming photo verified, and the ability to send one super like per day.
I like how they said 55 billion matches because the matching part isn't actually statistically helpful.
Correct. That is correct. It sounds impressive,
But it's
but
not.
it's not. Yeah.
No. Nicely done, Tender.
Yeah. I think it's,
I do like
I
the
think,
photo verification though.
yes, I think that's important. I think swiping like back and forth is kind of fun. It's
I would
like
get
an,
so confused.
I,
I would 100% swipe the wrong way.
yeah.
I'd be like, crap, I don't know.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
it is what it is. Tinder can
Hmm.
be a little bit dicey in terms of like
So I've heard.
who messages you and like
Hmm.
I've definitely gotten some very we'll say explicit messages, unprompted explicit messages
Any
on
photos?
Tinder. I've also gotten photos and honestly, I will say this is a pro tip for the women out there. If you receive an unsolicited male genitalia pic,
Eggplants.
if you receive an unsolicited eggplant, the
Or a
only
cucumber.
appropriate, in my opinion, the only appropriate way to respond is with another unsolicited eggplant.
I would have responded full, like, I'm just a savage mentally. I would have responded, where is it? Where's the rest?
Yeah,
um,
you're mean. Oh my God.
uh, picture unclear. What is it?
Unsure what this is.
Unsure.
Can you explain further? I'm
Yeah,
gonna need a caption for
yeah,
this.
absolutely. Don't even see what you sent. Yeah, but that's just how I roll.
And that's fair. I mean, that's also a good one. Anyway,
Hmm.
so Tinder can be a little dicey, but
Yeah.
yeah. Moving on. Number three.
I'm upset about the eggplants.
Number three is coffee meets bagel, which 10 out of 10 for name,
Yeah,
honestly.
never heard of that before.
I've never heard of this one either,
Yeah,
but I love the name.
it's cute.
Dubbed the dating app for serious daters,
Oh.
via its website.
Mm,
Coffee Meets Bagel claims 91% of users are committed to finding a serious partnership. Coffee Meets Bagel aims to help you spend your time wisely while dating with a curated batch of daily matches called bagels,
cute.
detailed profile options, and the ability to keep a conversation going with icebreakers.
Ew.
Featured on ABC's Shark Tank, you may
Oh,
sign up and use the app's core features for free or use additional features such as read receipts, activity reports, and discover likes through purchasing beans, which are paid tokens.
beans.
Cute. Also, I would just like to say as well, I forgot to mention this when we started this section.
Mm.
None of this is sponsored, so
Oh,
we're just
yeah.
giving you information. We None of this is sponsored.
Can you imagine? But no offense to married people who did use none of the apps,
Yeah,
just being sponsored by Hinge.
it's honestly, you're like use Hinge today. We definitely didn't. Um, okay, so number four is Hinge,
Oh,
which
good
honestly,
segue.
have you seen the commercials for Hinge?
No. Are there commercials for
Okay.
Hinge?
Yes. And
Oh.
it's like, because their whole bit is like they want the dating app that's designed to be deleted,
Oh,
so that you find your like person and you never have to use it again.
cute.
And so the commercials are the little Hinge square icon with like little eyeballs on top. And he's basically just getting beat up by
Oh,
these
God.
couples
Oh,
because
God.
by like accident, he's like falling off a bridge or something when they like meet, like the couples meet because he's like being deleted or whatever.
Oh,
And
well,
that's what they want. It's like
well,
very funny.
that I feel terrible for him. I feel like he needs someone to just, console. That's painful.
Anyway, I think it's
Or
cute.
Hinge.
It's like funnier than how I'm describing it, I
Yeah,
promise.
the way you described it sounds like he's going through it, okay? He needs to find love.
So, using the Nobel Prize winning Gale Shapley algorithm, dating back to 1962, the company focuses on three core values: authenticity, courage, and empathy
Oh.
to help users build great relationships. Free profile features include the ability to send one free rose per week
Huh.
to stand out from other users, and the ability to revisit a profile that you may have skipped. Paid subscription options include Hinge Plus and Hinge X. Hinge also offers a unique in FAQ section for the LGBTQIA plus community, which is aimed at answering all of the not so friendly ask questions queer singles may have,
Interesting.
which is cool. Yeah.
It's like, will you accept this rose? That's
Right.
what
It's
Hinge
very
is.
bachelor coded.
Very bachelor.
Okay, so number 5, which is the surprise one, is Facebook dating. I didn't know that there was an ability to do that
I
on
would love
Facebook.
to know who's using that.
I would love to know. I would love a reality show on like
Absolutely.
who is using this because it's got to be terrible.
And its success rate.
Um, right.
What are your
Yeah.
statistics?
So, located within the Facebook app, um, it integrates a user's Facebook activity to connect them with others who share similar interests. This includes factoring in events that you may be attending, um, or groups that you're already a part of within the social network. Facebook offers safety tips and information on locating the dating app via the How to Find menu option on its Facebook dating website. However, it is only available to those who use the Facebook app on one's phone and then not via computer.
I gotta say, Facebook and like Meta, in terms of like their user
Yeah,
friendliness, is absolute garbage. I'm just gonna go ahead
not
and say it.
not my favorite, that's for
Uh,
sure.
and I love. This is just me being a cynical Facebook user, but the
It's
fact that
fine.
they offer safety tips. Look, somebody tries to hack into my Facebook account daily, and you've released my personal information. I don't know that I trust you with my dating life, Facebook.
That's all I'm saying.
Like, if I'm being
Like,
honest.
how do we know that the government is not just tracking through Meta to like see who's like dating and then getting their like,
Yeah.
because they want more people to start having babies and
Uh-huh.
children. And
They're
so
gonna
like a
take that
whole,
set the statistics. Yeah, because Facebook's a lobbyist
yeah,
for sure. Look,
not,
government, if you
I
want love,
mean,
just say that.
I we're
Just
not a
be
conspiracy theory podcast.
just be honest with yourself, government. Do you need a hug? Like, do you need a
Yeah,
pen pal?
they need a lot of things over there. All right. Number 6 is Happen. Uses hyperlocation in real time, which sounds terrifying,
Yeah.
according to the company website. This allows users to view people who may be nearby, providing a
What?
potential location of where you may have crossed paths
What?
without being too precise to maintain safety.
This is an undercover
Wait,
murderer app. Are you kidding? That is absolute
wait.
BS. Get
With
out.
with further safety in mind, you are
Mm.
also able to block certain users and
Ugh.
select those you do not wish to cross paths with again.
How would you
Basic
know?
basic features available for free include the ability to cross paths with someone, like someone, get crushes when you and another user mutually like one another, play Crush Time, a 4 profile grid game within the app, to guess who has liked you, and more.
This is made by a serial murderer.
I don't like this one.
Also, not cereal as in Cheerios. I'm talking cereal as in the S one.
I
Okay.
I know what you mean. We all know what you mean.
Fruit
Okay.
Loops. I hate that. I hate
I
everything about that.
I agree. I
Oh,
agree.
don't. Oh,
All right. Number 7
I'm
is
upset.
Plenty of Fish, which
Oldie
is
but a
a
goodie.
swiping oldie but a goodie. Exactly. It is a swiping based dating app that allows you to search for matches via the Meet Me tab. Here you can review and like or pass on profiles, send super likes, and more. The app also uses dating games to help users get to know one another. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It's basic.
Okay. Number 8, BLK, launched in 2017, is a dating app created for Black singles.
Hmm.
BLK acknowledges that many users have an intention of dating within their community, but the site also welcomes those who are interested in dating Black singles due to their romantic or dating preferences.
Oh,
To
cute.
show interest in another user, simply swipe to right to like someone. If there is mutual interest, you can start messaging. You can easily unmatch from another user by swiping left.
So, like, it's like another dating app, but
Yeah,
for your preferences.
yeah,
That's
yeah. It's
nice.
just more niche.
Nice.
Um, Number nine is Feels. It is a dating platform that promotes relaxed relationships without rules or labels.
Oh,
Going against concepts like societal pressure and traditional norms, according to the company. Um, Feels offers two paid subscriptions, Fast Pass, where you can do things like boost your profile once a week and review past profiles as often as you want, and Infinity, which includes all of the features of Fast Pass plus additions like travel mode, the filtering of users you want to see, and more. There are also boosts available which highlight your profile for 12 hours. That can be purchased through a subscription or in separate packs.
it's like when you go on Facebook Market and you boost your market item, you're just boosting yourself.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Well, that's a lot. And that's
it's a
not even
lot.
like that's just Forbes list. That's not even all that exists.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
intense.
Yeah. So anyway, if you want love, these are some places to start.
Good. Some better than others.
Good luck.
Please don't use Happen. My God. My goodness. I'm not sponsored by any of them, but if I had to say, maybe don't use that one.
Yeah, I
Ooh.
would say. All right. We're going to give you guys a break and go to the ad, and we'll see you on the other side. Welcome to the ad segment of this week's podcast. Normally, we have something witty to say that would segue you into the second half of the podcast, but not this time. For this ad break, we've created a random groove segment built exclusively for the vibes. Enjoy these calming tunes before you come re-immersed in all things mediocre content.
Wasn't that nice? Always good to set the mind at ease, if only for a few seconds. We hope you enjoyed this calm transition to the next half of the podcast. See you on the other side.
Welcome back. We're going to talk about is online dating actually better?
Yeah, that's a good question.
It's a great question. And it does have, I still think that there is some stigma. Like people don't want to admit if they started dating because of a dating app. I still feel
Mhm.
like there's a little bit of a stigma there, I guess. Um, but it is one of the most common ways to meet a romantic partner.
Yeah.
So this study is a little bit dated, so just bear with me. But according to a 2013 study by a social psychologist, JT Casio, Cas, Casiopo,
Casiopo? That's what I would say.
the internet is responsible for roughly one in every three marriages. And those who use online dating end up being slightly more satisfied with their relationship than marriage than those who met in more traditional ways.
Oh, really?
Quote, if you met your partner online, you were a little happier and less likely to break up or dissolve the marriage, says Lysel Sharabe, assistant professor at Arizona State University's Hugh Downs School of Human Communication.
What a mouthful. My gracious.
And I know. And Sharabi wanted to know why. Her findings are outlined in a new study entitled The Enduring Effect of Internet Dating, Meeting Online, and the Road to Marriage. The, do you hear the dog barking or no?
No.
Okay, good. Because the corgi next door just decided to like howl.
Get it,
Um,
girl. Or boy. I don't
okay,
know what it is.
it's a girl. Her name is Bella. Shout out
Adorable.
Bella. Um, the study was published in the Journal of Communication Research. Sharabi is the director of ASU's Relationship and Technology Lab and has spent more than a decade studying how communication technologies are used to initiate, maintain, and dissolve interpersonal relationships. The researcher worked with a highly diverse group between the ages of 21 and 62. 50 interviews were conducted with individuals from across the country. Of those who participated, 60% of the sample were married and 34% were engaged. Sharabi's study explains how the common stages of online dating differ from those in more traditional dating, and many impact the satisfaction of relationships that are formed. The result of her research presented a comprehensive view of online dating through 4 stages and 13 subcategories. These stages were not always consecutive. First, there is a period prior to even interacting with a person online, said Shrabi, which consists of information gathering. Once you start talking, an advantage of communicating online is people are more likely to ask key questions that they might not feel comfortable pursuing early on or in person, which totally makes sense
Yeah.
because the things people are willing to say on the internet is
Baffling.
wild.
It is wild.
So, and it's much easier to talk to someone through a screen than it is
Mm-hmm.
in person for on like delicate topics for
Oh
sure.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Quote, you might want to know their religion or what their political leanings are or who they voted for, she said, but you're not going to ask these questions on a first date. That would really be uncomfortable.
Fair enough.
I mean, you could,
You
but
can.
like if you were really concerned about efficiency,
Right.
you could.
Yeah.
Um, but online dating allows participants to get the backstory before moving forward.
Hmm.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
Interesting. Quote, you don't have to worry that you're going to be 6 months into a relationship and then just learn something that's a deal breaker, says Sharabi, who also writes an online dating blog called Dating in the Digital Age for Psychology Today.
Hmm.
Also, some relationships formed online took more time to develop, Sharabi said, with emotional intimacy preceding physical intimacy. It turns out this created a better foundation for a future union.
Who would have
Quote,
thought?
it shows, I know, right? Quote, it shows that waiting a couple of weeks is the sweet spot where you have a time to get to know a person before you meet, said Sharabi, who also cautioned against waiting too long to meet in person.
Hmm.
Quote, one thing I identified in my study was that online dating provided this foundation of intimacy, a strong foundation that couples could use to build a relationship on, she said.
Nice.
The next step is taking the relationship offline. So the study revealed that at this point, couples enter a period of multimodal development that demonstrates the enduring influence technology continued to have after meeting in person. The proof is in the profile. The growth of the multi-billion-dollar online dating industry has transformed the way people search for that certain someone. In addition to eliminating the awkwardness of acquiring key information, Shirabi said that potential partners provide informative profiles that can stop a swipe.
Hmm.
So, um, compatibility is key, and the more specific the search,
Cattail.
Jinx.
Always Jinx.
Uh,
Sorry, I got Puma like meowing at me at my feet right now.
I lost my spot.
Rude, Jinx.
I know. It's okay. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, so compatibility is key, and the more specific the search, the greater the chance of meeting someone with shared interests. FarmersOnly.com cultivates connections between farmers. It's an app, and Fetchadate.com is an app for dog lovers. And those who think money is the key go to millionairematch.com.
Hey,
That's right.
millionaire matchmaker.
There are even dating apps for people who have certain sexually transmitted diseases.
That's very specific.
Positivesingles.com. Uh, it's kind of like your singles bar. You switch around and check out different crowds and see what works for you. Algorithms don't solve every single problem. So Sharabi has done a lot of research on algorithms, which in a sea of singles on any platform may make the selection process easier and more conducive to meaningful matches. Some sites match couples based on the qualities of compatibility found in thousands of successful relationships, but she remains skeptical of the selection process. These are millions of profiles on there are millions of profiles on these platforms, and they can't just set you free to search around, she said. Some of the big platforms narrow down the matches for you, so you're essentially paying for the match.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, so many online daters who landed a long-term relationship were asked how they determined compatibility. It was never based on a person's career, income, or level of education, Shirabi said. They talked about personality traits, qualities like kindness and loyalty, and those aren't things that are picked up by an algorithm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Another thing to consider is the big pool of potential partners. The research also referenced a study published by James Bussard, an American in the American Journal of Sociology in 1932, and it explained that nearly a century ago, marriages commonly occurred between people who lived in the same neighborhood.
Oh.
This is what I think I've read.
Uh,
Um, a small in a small town,
Tail
thanks.
and mouth.
Sorry. Uh, in a small town that could make for some slim pickings, but online dating has broken down the barriers caused by geographic distance, allowing for a large volume of opportunities to test the market. Some from the study corresponded to close to 100 people before choosing a partner. One research participant said that prior to online dating, the only way he could have had a relationship was if someone chose him regardless of any common or shared values.
Hmm.
But because online dating provided a larger pool to choose from, his chances of finding the perfect person increased.
Hmm.
So, the downside of online dating, while study examined factors that could contribute to the success of online dating, it also revealed some negative aspects. According to the research, some participants were so accustomed to meeting people through technology that they passed up opportunities to talk to someone standing right in front of them.
That's a problem.
Regardless, Shirabi hopes that her research will encourage online dating doubters to stick with the sites and eventually meet their match. Quote, online dating is far from perfect, and I think a lot of people get so burnt out with the process that they start to question if it actually works for anyone, she said. So I hope that people who are feeling this way can take comfort in these success stories and in knowing that some people really do find love in online dating. Quote, I also hope that learning what made others successful can help them better navigate their own online dating relationships.
That's cute.
Yeah. So for those on dating websites, you have a chance. Basically, you're going to be
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. And also, like, don't feel rushed or pressured to find that special someone on the app. I think it's a great tool and definitely allows you to seek out more compatible people. But don't feel pressured if it's just not like jiving correctly. Maybe you don't
Right.
have the right app, or maybe it's gonna be in person at some point. You just walk in a coffee shop. Like, you just never know.
Right.
Um, don't limit yourself, I would say. And also, don't let somebody shame you about using an app if you decide to go that route, because maybe you just find friendships as well, and that's just as helpful. Um, I think it's the same way that people view online school as well, like somehow less credible if you still achieved the same thing, but using a tool specially made to help you in your situation. It's the same with the dating app. It's just another avenue to connect, so don't let people make you
Yeah.
feel bad for using it either.
That's a good point too with like the friend thing. Like
Yeah.
even if you make a friend on a dating app instead of like a romantic partner, then
Yeah.
how many times have we heard like a friend of a friend and then
Yeah.
now they got introduced and now they're like together.
A win is a
That's
win.
a win is a win.
Take the W.
A win is a win. Okay. So now we're just going to do some rapid fire pros and cons
Woo.
of dating online and dating offline.
Okay.
So we're going to start with online. A pro is that over 40 million singles in the US have tried online dating.
Hmm.
A con, it's a crowded digital marketplace and can be an exhausting experience.
Absolutely understand that.
Pro, 1 out of 5 relationships start online, whether it's on social media, Facebook, Twitter, a mobile app, or traditional online dating site. There are a lot of success stories. Con, people lie about their age, weight, height, income, and marital status, and singles get frustrated after a few bad dates.
Which is understandable as well.
Totally. Pro, you can meet people outside of your geographic area and social circle with similar interests. You'll meet more people so that you can learn what you're truly looking for in a date or a relationship. Con, it can become addicting to some who never meet offline or are looking for the next pretty face, beware of digital pen pal syndrome.
Yeah. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Huh.
Pro is efficient and available 24 hours, 7 days a week.
I feel like that can also be a con.
Con, it feels like a full-time job and you must be organized.
Oh, I agree. I feel like I don't know if the pro
If
is
it
a
starts to
pro.
feel like a full-time job, I think you're doing it wrong.
Absolutely. It should be fun, exciting. You're definitely going to have a frustration here or there, but like it's not paying you. So,
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
And our last pro for online, many sites provide matching tools and send you emails suggested matches to make it easier for you to find potential dates. Con, many singles limit their search criteria to height, zip code, or income and can miss the opportunity to meet a compatible match.
Honestly, that's my biggest blight with all of this
I
is
would say.
like we talked about in the beginning, like you just iron that sense of control.
Well,
You're
and
just
I
like,
think, and like, yes, yes, I
yeah.
agree with you. The sense of control, but also, I think also like women and men are attracted differently
Hmm.
in and find attraction in different ways. Like,
Yeah.
I definitely think that this whole like visual, I mean, yes, you get the profile too,
Sure.
but like, I think women are more attracted to like emotional and
Hmm.
like character aspects of someone as
Hmm.
opposed to like physical. I mean, I think physical does
Yeah,
play a part,
for
but it's
sure.
not everything.
No.
And I think men are very much like first impression
Hmm.
visually.
Hmm.
And I know that that's like a sweeping generalization.
Yeah.
Um, but it's different. Like the brain is wired differently depending on, who you are. And I think that dating apps can kind of err on the side of like first visual impression, and that's not always the best if you're
Hmm.
someone who likes meeting people and basing your attraction off of character and how they make you feel.
Yeah, and I think that maybe online can be maybe feel a little, I'm having never done it myself though. It might even feel like a little impersonal because you're just reading, it's almost like reading an ingredient list, right? If you do go past their picture on their profile, then it's like, okay, well, what do you think you're made of? And you're like, hiking, I love walking
Yeah.
and I love my dog. And it's like, that's all great. But if you just pass up, you're like, well, I hate dogs, but maybe their personality would have actually matched with you.
Right.
But it's so like that first line. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think too, like I always gravitated towards the guys who, or like I always appreciated, let's say, the
Yeah.
guys who had like unoriginal like bios, where they
Oh.
would, because like at the time, everyone was like quoting The Office
Oh.
and like doing, it's like
Yeah.
I like hunting and fishing, or I like, you know, I want someone who is, bubbly and cute and like
Mm-hmm.
under 5'7" or like whatever it is,
Yeah.
and but like guys who had, an unoriginal bio were,
Sure.
even if they weren't like the most attractive person, I feel like I would give a shot. You know what I mean? Because I
Yeah.
knew that they like thought about what they were going to put in their
Yeah.
bio. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
That makes sense.
anyway, okay, so pros and cons of offline dating for those of us who want a little bit more of a traditional matchup. Um, Pro, you have friends in common. You may have friends in common, which will make you more comfortable.
Hmm.
Um, Con, you're not really sure of their relationship status.
I would argue that's true for online too, though.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm.
Pro, you can determine if there's chemistry in person sooner, which I definitely agree.
Mm-hmm.
Con, you're limited to your existing social circles or regular activities and will meet less people.
Start new activities. That's my best
That's
advice.
right.
Go to
New
libraries.
activities.
Do something.
Right. Volunteer at your animal
Yeah,
shelter.
all types of
Um,
things.
Pro, it's pre-dating without the pressure of wondering if your date's profile is accurate.
Oh, that's fair.
Con, singles may feel shy and not ask someone out on an official date. Or, as we talked about earlier, you might not know that their political values like don't line up until like 3 months in, and you're like, oh, well, this is not what
Yeah,
I wanted.
I guess it depends on like what your deal breakers are too, because like,
Also, that.
you know, while I think some of those heavier questions, like religion, for example, if you
Mm,
are absolutely like, no, it has to be this way for religious purposes or whatever the case may
right.
be, I totally understand that kind of being one of the first few questions that you want to ask.
Sure.
But if it's not life or death nor a deal breaker, you could also, again, just be shooting yourself in the foot. You know?
It's true. It's true. I guess a
Yeah.
good thing to do before
Yeah.
you start dating or like before you decide that you want to be in like a serious relationship is
Hmm.
make a list of like
Oh,
what it is
yeah.
that are deal breakers
Yeah.
because then you have like hard boundaries.
And also make sure to update that list because if you do go on a date and you're like, "Oh, I hadn't thought about this. Maybe this is something I would or would not want."
Mhm.
Definitely denote that because that's going to help you later.
Yeah. Um, Speaking of, I was watching side note,
Yes.
I was watching Queer Eye, the new season,
Uh-huh.
and this woman, she is a nun, or she's no longer a nun.
Oh.
She left the convent
Mm-hmm.
because she wanted to find a emotional connection with a variety of other reasons, but like
Mm-hmm.
one of the reasons was because she felt that she wanted to have an emotional connection with another human being that the
Fair.
convent like wasn't going to allow her to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's talking to like Karamo, one of the hosts of Queer Eye, who's like he's like the emotional
Mm-hmm.
like guy. And he was like, "So what are some things?" And this, oh, and the other part about the nun is that
Mm-hmm.
she had like a spreadsheet of like deal breakers
Wow.
and like things that she wanted from her person, and it was very type A, like very well organized. Like I appreciated it for what it was, but it's probably
Right.
not the best like mindset to go into like dating
Sure.
with,
Sure.
because it was like really restrictive. And so Karamo's like, "So do you really need to have someone who is like just as active and like, in um into activism as much as you are, or do you just need someone who like supports you in your
Mm-hmm.
activism?"
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a
Mm-hmm.
difference. Anyway,
Yeah.
I thought that was a really interesting point because
That's a
sometimes
good
all we
point.
need is support. We don't necessarily need someone who does exactly what we do.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that's a
Yeah.
good distinct. But given the fact that she hasn't had the opportunity, it was probably a good thing that she had someone to bounce that idea off of. Like
Right.
you're saying
Right.
this is a restriction or a deal breaker, but do you actually know what it is? Like
Right.
what you would need.
Like that seems, and this woman who's
Right.
like super active in her like local charities, she does like a lot of like activism for like legislation, stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like
Yeah.
she's very busy and like does great work, but like,
Yeah.
do you need another person in your life that also does that? Or do
Or you
you
just need
need
the
someone
support
who,
system.
yeah, who
Yeah.
can like be like, yay, good for you. Like, I'll do whatever you need me to do, like that kind of
Right.
thing.
Yeah, that's cute.
Anyway, just a thought. Okay. Um, Pro, dating sites have entered the events business, giving you more choices to meet in person without the pressure. Con, you're not really sure if someone is interested in you romantically at a group event.
Some of these I feel like could be on online as well.
Yeah, I
You
agree.
know, like you
I
don't how would you know how would you
How would
know?
you
You
know?
just met.
Yeah. No,
I feel
exactly.
like that's a fair thing to say. I don't think that's a con.
I feel like the offline dating is very
Yeah.
not as good arguments.
No, I because
No,
I feel like it could be like the con of you're limiting yourself to a certain geographic area. I mean, you could do the same with online too. If
that's
you
true.
put in your zip
Yeah.
code and you're like, "Oh, I only want a 10-mile radius." Well, then you've
Well, there it
limited your
is.
pool of options.
Yeah, exactly. So
That's
anyway,
cute.
that being said, this was your episode on dating apps
I love
and
it.
the the history behind them, and do with this information what you will.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, we're
Also,
rooting for you,
oh,
just so
oh,
you know.
absolutely.
We're rooting for you.
with whatever it is.
Yeah.
And we say this a lot, but I do mean it. This is a community, right? So if you think sending in another option might be helpful, or if you have advice, like positive advice that maybe people might want, I mean, hey, we are able and willing to share it so long as it's actually constructive and helpful and in a place of love, because that's what this month is all about.
Okay, Delilah.
I remember listening to that on the radio. Oh my gosh, we're not sponsored by that either. Anyway, I don't even know if that show still runs, but it might.
I have no idea. That woman made a lot of money being on the radio talking to stupid people.
She sure did. So feel free to send in anything you'd like us to talk about, including any dating tips, tricks, or apps that you have. You can send any of that as usual to mediocrecontentpodcast@gmail.com. You can also connect with us on Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube comments, because we do read those if you send them, and it's the same handle. Or talk to us live every other Thursday on Twitch at Mediocre Content Podcast, of course. And that's at 3 p.m. PST, 6 p.m. EST, or 11 p.m. BST. Pick the time zone that works for you. And don't forget to rate us 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts. We greatly appreciate it. And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye. This has been Mediocre Content.
Thanks so much for listening. Cheers.
Cheers.